Samuel's name means heard of God. Samuel did not want to request a king for Israel because God was their Lord and King. However, the Israelites wanted to be like the other nations. Samuel anointed David at a very young age. It was many years before he became the king of Judah and eventually the entire kingdom of Israel. The book of Samuel is in 2 parts. However, it was originally one book. This is the life of Samuel. Elkanah had 2 wives, Peninnah and Hannah. Peninnah had sons and daughters with Elkanah, but Hannah was barren and unable to bear children, which caused her to weep and grieve. Hannah went into the temple to pray, and Eli the high priest saw her crying, and her mouth was moving, but no words were coming out. So he thought that she was drunk. She made a vow unto the Lord, promising to dedicate the child unto him if he would open her womb. Hannah explained that she was grieving and not drunk to Eli. So he told Hannah to go in peace and that God would grant her prayer. After a short period of time, Hannah conceived a male child, and they named him Samuel. Elkanah made a great offering to the Lord because God had blessed them with a son. The song praise of Hannah. He lifts the poor from the dust, yes, from a pile of ashes, and treats him as a prince, sitting on the seat of honor. For all the earth is the Lord, and he shall set the world in order. He will protect his godly ones, but the wicked shall be silenced in darkness. No one shall succeed by strength alone. Those who fight against the Lord shall be broken. His thunder against them comes from heaven. He judges throughout the earth. He gives mighty strength to his king, and he gives great glory to his anointed ones. When Samuel was 3 years old, Hannah took him to Eli and his sons. Samuel grew up learning how to minister to the Lord. Each year, Hannah would make him an ephod. The Lord called to Samuel, but he thought it was Eli calling him. Eli was going blind, but his hearing was strong. He told Samuel, "I did not call you, go back to sleep." It occurred a second time, and he told him, "I did not call you, go back to sleep." Eli discerns that it is the Lord calling Samuel and told Samuel, "If you hear the voice again, reply, 'Speak, for your servant hears.'" Traditionally, the sons of the high priest would succeed their father in ministry. However, Eli's sons were wicked and committed immoral acts in the temple and disrespected the house of the Lord. Meanwhile, Samuel continued to grow in stature and with favor with God and men. The Philistines versus Israel, covering chapters 4 through 7. It was a crucial battle for Israel, but they got arrogant and forgot to consult God first. They pulled out the Ark of the Covenant like it was a trophy, fixing everything. As a result of this mistake, God doesn't show up for them, and they lose the battle. And the Ark of the Covenant is stolen. The Philistines then placed the Ark of the Covenant in their temple with their god Dagon. Next, the living God destroys the statue Dagon, and the Philistine people are sent plagues. So now they don't want the Ark of the Covenant. They want to hurry up and send it back to Israel. Thus, the point of this story is God is not Israel's trophy. God despises pride among the Philistines and among the Israelites. Israel needs to remain humble and obedient to God in order to experience his covenant blessings. Chapters 8 through 10. The Israelites come to Samuel and say they want a king like all the other nations. And this aggravates Samuel's spirit because he knows that Israel made a covenant with God that he would be their king. But Samuel goes to the Lord, and God replies, "If that's what they want, then I will give them a king." So Saul is chosen to be their new king. He starts out well, but tragically falls because he fails to follow God's directions. His actions disqualify him for remaining Israel's leader. Therefore, God picks a new king and has Samuel to anoint a shepherd boy by the name of David to be the king. But we know it was 15 years later between David's anointing and before he became the king of Israel. After his anointing, David gets in a fight with a big bully. David takes a lunch to his brothers on the front lines of the war. He hears the threats of Goliath. David says to the Philistines, "You come to me with a sword, spear, and a shield, but I come to you in the name of the Lord of hosts, the God of the armies of Israel, who you have defied. This day will the Lord deliver you into my hands, and I will kill you, and I will take your head from you, and I will give your carcass this day to the birds of the air and to the wild beasts of the earth, so the whole entire world will know that there is a God of Israel." After picking up 5 small stones from the brook, he pops one in his slings and hits Goliath right in the forehead. With the power of God, he is knocked out and dies. You see, the bigger they are, the harder they fall. This is the overview of the books of Samuel 1 and 2. Saul loves David after he wins the battle, and he lets David marry his daughter. But Saul becomes jealous because David becomes popular among the people who sing his praises. Then his army favor David as they follow him into battles. So Saul tries to kill David with a spear. This causes David to go on the run for his life. It takes a long time until the death of King Saul and his friend Jonathan, the king's son. And then David becomes king. My name is Michelle Daniels. I'm your e-facilitator. Please go to my website, youre-facilitator.com, and download the course syllabus from the e-Bible study page. Thanks for watching this video.